InfoPlus for genuine information.
Namaste and welcome to this special edition of InfoPlus with me, Rebecca Chetri. Today, we have the privilege of speaking with a distinguished guest who have been at the forefront of labor and employment issues in Nepal. He is the director of the International Labour Organization ILO in Nepal and organizations that play a vital role in promoting social justice and fair labor practices. Please join me in welcoming Numan Özcan as we delve into the important work that ILO Nepal is doing to improve the lives of workers and contribute to sustainable development in Nepal. Namaste.
Namaste. Welcome to ILO.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Please.
Thank you so much for welcoming us here at ILO.
It's our pleasure to have you here. Please, if you give me a moment, let me change, and then we can continue with the interview.
The International Labour Organization ILO was established on April 11, 1919. As part of the Treaty of Versailles, which ended World War I. The organization was created to promote social justice, human and labor rights, and improve working conditions globally. Nepal joined the ILO in 1966. Nepal has ratified 11 ILO conventions, including 7 core conventions. Mr. Numan Özcan has been the country director of the International Labour Organization ILO in Nepal since April 1, 2023. He has over 25 years of experience in policy advocacy and program implementation, focusing on employment, human labor rights, social dialogue, and social policy.
alone here. My family is not living here with
such a beautiful
me.
Family.
Thank you so much. So I have them in front of me every time from my working desk. I look at my family actually.
Pictures.
Thank you so much. I have a son who's 12 now.
He looks like you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Also, like my wife.
Yeah.
And I have a daughter.
beautiful wife.
She just turned 9.
They're in Turkey?
They're in Turkey. They're living in
Have they
Ankara.
visited Nepal earlier?
They have visited. They come and visit me whenever there is a school holiday.
Okay.
They come and they also enjoy here. They like Nepal also. Yes. So here is my desk where I cook for my guests.
Okay.
And I do either Turkish tea, because in Turkey we also grow tea and we love tea.
Oh, wow.
And
Nepal is a famous country for tea as well.
I know. I learned after I came here. So I use Nepali tea, but I cook it in a Turkish way.
Oh.
We have a different way of cooking tea.
Okay.
So I brought this machine from Turkey.
Oh, wow.
So we cook the tea here, and there is boiling water here. And then you mix it with the right proportion. And I do also sometimes to my guests who come here some Turkish coffee.
Yeah. And Turkish coffee is world famous as well.
Yes, yes, yes.
Prior to this role, he served as the director of the ILO office for Turkey, where he significantly expanded the office presence, particularly in areas like refugee support, child labor eradication, and women's employment. Earlier in his career, Mr. Özcan worked for the EU delegation to Turkey, contributing to political dialogue and accessions negotiations, and managing EU-funded programs in social policy. His background also includes roles in Turkish trade union, the private sector, and government. Academically, he holds a bachelor degree in political science and international relations from Boğaziçi University, a Master of Arts in International Business and Management from the University of Westminster, and a Master of Science in International Relations from Gazi University.
InfoPlus for genuine information.
Namaste and welcome to the show InfoPlus. Could you share a bit about your journey and what led you to work with the International Labour Organization, ILO?
First of all, welcome to ILO Nepal office.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. Well, actually, my whole working life is about working life. Already at the university, my first job experience was an internship at an ILO project on child labor. I think from then on, this virus got into my blood, and all my working life was on the same direction to promote workers' rights. So after graduation, I joined a trade union in the international department. I am a graduate of political science and international relations. So I worked for the trade union to promote and to work with the international trade union movement.
Okay.
Then I left, I did my master's, and after coming back, we established a company. So I was a kind of a young entrepreneur. So learned also how to work in the private sector. And then I moved to the government and worked in an agency within the foreign ministry at that time, which was responsible for managing EU funds. And I was responsible for the social sector funds, promoting employment, education, health. And then I moved to the EU delegation, delegation of European Union in Turkey. And I was responsible for, again, the negotiations between EU and Turkey on employment and social policies. And then from 2015, I joined the ILO as the ILO country director for Turkey. I worked 8 years there and then came to Nepal about 2 years ago.
Your journey sounds very inspiring.
Thank you.
And lots of hard work. For the viewers who may not be familiar with the ILO, could you please provide a brief history of ILO and its objectives?
ILO is actually the oldest UN agency, and in fact it was established even before the UN. It was established after the First World War with the conviction that universal and lasting peace can be possible only if it is based upon social justice. And now if we look at the world that we are living in, all the social injustices, I think this is relevant as it was relevant more than 100 years ago. So the main premise of ILO is to advance social justice and to promote decent work. This is what we do. And how we do it, ILO sets international labor standards. So standards that would be applicable everywhere in the world. And sometimes in our working life today, we take many things for granted. But actually, they didn't exist 1 century ago. Like if we have a limit to our working hours in a day, if we have 1 day off at least on a week, if a pregnant woman who gives birth have a paid leave, these are all actually thanks to the standards that ILO put in the past century.
So is it implementing in Nepal the rules and regulations you are trying to bring?
Nepal has joined the ILO in 1966. So it's also a long journey. And Nepal also has ratified 11 ILO conventions, mostly on fundamental rights, as we call them. They are in the form of collective bargaining and right to organize, elimination of child labor and forced labor, elimination of discrimination, and many other technical areas. So Nepal has made a progress and more recently adopted a new labor law and brought a new Social Security Act also to protect its workers.
So what is the ILO's mission specifically in Nepal, and how does it align with the global goals of organizations?
Actually, in every country that we operate, we have basically two missions. One is for that country to adopt international labor standards, meaning to ratify ILO conventions and to implement them. And the second one is to work with our government, employer and worker partners to realize decent work for all, for everybody working in this country. So these two missions are also valid for ILO country office for Nepal. This is what we are working towards and together with our partners to make possible for every Nepali living and working in Nepal to have decent work.
So seems like ILO has been doing a lot for Nepal.
Yes, yes,
and
indeed.
we believe we can see lots of good works and rights for the people who are involved in labor work globally very soon.
Yes, yes. We work with the 5-year plan. In Nepal, we have 3 priorities. One is to promote employment, more employment opportunities. And how we are doing this? We are again working with our partners, with the government and employers and workers for better employment policies, better employment services, to create more employment opportunities for people here, and to have a working social security and social protection system. So this is one thing. The other is to promote rights. Rights meaning nobody should be forced to work. Children should be going to school rather than to work. People should have healthy and safe workplaces. This is the rights aspect. And the third one is to promote dialogue between workers, employers, and the government.
Nepal has been a part of ILO's efforts for many years. What progress has the country made in implementing ILO's standard? And where do you see the most significant challenges in this area?
I think the challenges lie in 3 areas, I would say. One is lack of employment opportunities in the country, which actually leads many young people to leave. So there we have to improve the conducive working environment in a way for the enterprises to grow, for the private sector to make more investment, and for the macroeconomic policies to create a good economic growth so that we have more employment. And the second challenge, I would say, is lack of strong and efficient labor market institutions. Here I refer, for example, public employment services that need to really go down from all 3 tiers of the government and should be able to bring job seekers and employers. So for people to have good jobs, to be placed in employment, but also for the enterprises to find skilled labor force that they need. Another system is social security system. We need to have a strong social security system so that every worker is covered for the risks associated with their working life. And another system is labor administration and inspection system so that labor law is implemented effectively and everybody is covered by the labor law. And the third is, of course, the capacity of the government, employers and workers organizations, and the capacity to have a dialogue, to have a meaningful dialogue for better economic and social policy making.
Is there any new initiatives or agreement in place right now in collaborations with the government?
We have, as I said, last year we have agreed with the government and social partners our 5-year plan. And we are working with this plan. And one big thing that we are working, I would say, is the formalization of informal businesses and informal employment. Because in Nepal, predominantly employment is informal. But informal employment means Workers are not protected by labor law.
That's
They are
true.
not registered with Social Security. If they have a work accident, if they are not able to work, they are not covered by the Social Security. So this is an area that we are really focusing in Nepal to formalize the businesses and workers so that everybody is covered with this protection.
So, as you mentioned just now about the protection of the workers, during your tenure here in Nepal, will you be working for this?
Yes, we are working for this. It's all what we do actually.
What do you think are the major trends currently shaping labor market worldwide? And could you elaborate on the impact of climate change, technological advancement, and demographic shift, including migrations?
Yes, indeed, these are the main trends that are impacting the labor markets globally. The first, I would say, climate change. Because climate change is impacting the livelihoods a lot. Because many of the sectors that people work, like agriculture, is directly linked with the climate, with weather. And as the climate is changing, some places become unusable for agricultural production. Or some sectors are directly linked, like tourism, like construction, and these are directly impacted by the changes in climate. But there are also sectors which are impacted because of our measures to prevent climate change. These are mostly sectors based on fossil fuels. So these workers or mines are not able to continue their work because these sectors need to be transformed. It means that these people would also needs to be trained and reskilled to have jobs in other sectors. So this is one important trend. The other trend is technological advancements. As we know, now technology is changing so rapidly. There are new technologies coming up, machine learning, AI, automation, digitalization. These are predominantly and fundamentally changing some of the occupations and some of the tasks. But also they are changing the employment relationships. Now it's no longer widespread to have people with clear-cut employer-worker relationship, these contracts. These are becoming more and more vague. So these people need to be also covered with Social Security, and also we have to train people to be adaptable to these technological advances. And the third one is, I would say, migration. It's a big trend. More and more people are on the move. And one big reason for this is, as you said, demographic changes. Because in some countries, mostly developed countries, the populations are becoming elder. But they have vibrant economies. They need young workforce. And other countries, mostly developing countries, they have young population, but their economies are not able to create enough number of jobs. So this imbalance in the labor markets leads to a migration from those developing countries to developed countries. Another reason people move is climate change, as I said, because some places are not able to support the livelihoods of the people because of climate change. So these people need to migrate either within the country or across the countries. And another reason is, of course, rising conflicts and wars in the world. There are more wars, internal conflicts, civil wars, and disasters which compel people and displace them from where they live.
As you had also mentioned earlier that Nepal is highly vulnerable to climate change. How can we mitigate the effect to of this on the livelihood of the people and workforce?
Yes, first we have to understand the scale of the climate change. In Nepal, we know Nepal is one of the top 10 countries which is most impacted by climate change. But we have to understand climate change is not only about environment, fossil fuels, gases, or weather. It's beyond that. It's actually about people as much as it's about planet. So first we have to understand. And in Nepal also, many sectors like agriculture, like tourism, are very much impacted and directly linked with climate itself. And we already know, for example, that some villages in the Himalayas, people had to leave and abandon their villages because it's not possible to continue their livelihoods there anymore. So they had to move towards the mid-hills. We already know that. We know also that in the Terai region, for example, this year there was record high temperatures.
That's true.
So people were not able to go during the day, go out and to continue their businesses. So how we can protect these people and their livelihoods and incomes when they are directly impacted by this kind of climate change. So one way to do it, one way is to work with the people, to reskill them, so that when they need to move from one place to another, from one sector to another, they have the right skills so that they can find jobs in those new places, new sectors, new occupations. And the other thing is to work to create green jobs, as we call. So these are the jobs that are done in a way to mitigate the impact of climate change. So these kind of new jobs are arising, so we need to raise people so that we can place them into
So
these.
what initiations are you taking from your side for these?
For this, we are working with our partners in a way to identify these sectors which will be impacted the most and which have the potential, what other sectors have the potential to accommodate and to take these new people, and then to skill and reskill those people so that they can take up these jobs. And the third element we have to consider is social protection, because during these transitions, people will lose income, will lose their jobs. So the social protection system should come in and provide necessary income and support to these people so that they don't fall under poverty.
With the rise of AI, machine learning and automation, how do you see these technologies impacting global and Nepal labor market? Because we can see lots of impact.
That's right, that's right. Actually, whenever a new technology came, if you look at the history from the first industrial revolutions, even earlier, people were afraid that this new technology will take our jobs and this will destroy our income. But in the end, actually, it wasn't the case, because new technologies created more jobs, new jobs, and they bring really big opportunities for productivity and many possibilities for new forms of work. That's a good thing. And AI, in this case, is a bit different than what happened in the history, because the scale is so huge, and even we don't know the scale that it will go. But one thing is clear, that in the past, with technological changes, mostly the jobs or tasks that were prone for automation were impacted. And these were the jobs of the blue-collar workers, workers in the factories. But now with the AI and this machine learning and other technologies, other types of jobs which are not necessarily prone for automation, which requires cognitive skills, are also at risk. These are mostly clerical jobs, jobs in the administrative and professional sectors, now the thing is that they will be also impacted. So we are seeing a direction in this regard. And also there is a divide, a digital divide between those countries who are more exposed to these kind of technologies and those countries who are not able to benefit from those technologies yet. So in these developed countries, the impact on jobs will be more, initially at least, but these countries are also at the same time the ones that are reaping the benefits of these technological advances. So for the countries like Nepal, I think we have to really focus on bridging this digital gap, divide. It requires infrastructural developments, equitable, investment on infrastructure, but also raising the skills of people so that they are now able to work with the machines and with these new technologies.
We can see lots of challenges coming because of this, isn't it, in future?
Yes, that's right. But the point is how these technologies will shape labor markets will depend on the decisions that we make today. So that's why ILO's policies or advocacy is in the direction that these technologies need to be regulated in such a way that they work for the human beings. We need to bring a human face to these technologies, so they should work for the benefit of mankind, people, human beings, rather than the other way
That's
around.
true.
And the benefits of these technologies should be fairly distributed. And this requires informed decisions by the leaders. It won't happen automatically.
As one of the largest labor-sending countries in South Asia, Nepal has been facing lots of labor migration, I believe. What step has been taken to ensure the wages, safe conditions and legal protection for Nepal who is working abroad?
Well, we know migration is a big issue in Nepal. It affects the lives of millions of people and their families. It's also a main source of income for many families, and also a big portion of the GDP is composed of the remittances that these workers send. I would think migration should be taken from all the three phases that it happens. Before migration, during migration, after migration. So as soon as somebody decides to go and work abroad, there should be a clear path. In terms of administration, in terms of recruitment, there shouldn't be any room for exploitation. So all these processes need to be very clear and without leading to any exploitation. The best way to do it is to manage this migration through bilateral labor migration agreements between the governments, which sets out the rules for all the rights of the migrant workers in the destination countries. So this would promote more fair and orderly and safe migration. This is what we are promoting. This is what we are, how we are working with the Ministry of Labor, Employment and Social Security to promote more this kind of safe and orderly migration. And when people go, then again government-to-government collaboration is needed to make sure that wherever they go, they benefit from the same rights as the local workers. They are protected by the social protection in the destination countries. This also requires, of course, the Nepalese missions abroad to provide services and to keep in touch with the Nepali workers there and to come in whenever they need help abroad.
So how is International Labour Organization ILO is supporting to those people who are facing challenges working abroad?
We are working with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to create guidelines for the embassies and consulates of Nepal abroad, so that these consular services, they provide necessary support for the Nepali workers abroad. This is one thing. The other is to support these bilateral labor migration agreements. And in these agreements, there are clauses about how the Nepali migrant workers will be protected and will be treated in the destination country, in destination countries. And thirdly, we are working with the networks of Nepali migrant workers, like NRNA, so that the people, when they go, they become part of a network. And this network can also come in whenever they need help, and also to prevent any exploitative practices during their working abroad. And the third phase, I would say, is of course when they come back. So Nepal should benefit from all this skilled labor force, because people see abroad, they work, they gain new skills. So we should benefit from these skilled people when they come back. And also the money that they bring should be invested wisely to promote more development, to create more jobs for the Nepali people, young people especially, so that they stay in the country and help the development of their country here.
Adding to this, we can see lots of Nepalese people working abroad, facing lots of pain and challenges. Have you across any those kind of incident on which you gave initiations for the support?
Yes, indeed. During COVID time, as you would remember, many Nepali workers were stranded abroad in those countries, and they were not able to work, and they left without an income. So during that time, we worked with the NRNA and to create a support platform for the repatriation of these Nepali workers back home and to support them wherever they are. So this was a very successful implementation, and we were able to reach thousands of Nepali workers abroad and to support them and to bring them back when necessary.
So that's a huge contributions for the country.
Yes,
during the tenure, I believe.
I believe so. And this was the time when people needed this kind of help the most. Yes.
Nepal has made a notable strides in addressing child labor. Yet it remains a persistent issue in some sector. How is the international labor ILO supporting on this issue in Nepal and giving efforts to eliminate child labor, particularly in these vulnerable areas?
Yes, as you say, Nepal has made a big progress on child labor, but still it remains a big issue. Still in certain sectors we see prevalence of child labor. So what we do is two things, I would say. One is to focus on the sectors which are employing still child laborers. So this is the case in the brick kilns, brick industries, and carpet industry. So we are working with the employers and workers organizations in these two sectors. With the company owners, we really go and work and try to eliminate child labor in those sectors. So we focus and we try to eliminate there. The other approach is to go on the territorial approach. So to focus on one area and eliminate child labor in all its forms in that particular area. In this, the Ministry of Labor, Employment and Social Security has a project, it was a program, I would say, on child labor-free municipalities or child labor-free zones. So municipalities, they apply to the ministry, they declare, I want to become a child labor-free municipality. There are certain criteria for this. They get support from the ministry, and we support some of these municipalities also.
So you are working in coordination?
Yes, yes. We work with this big program of the government, and we support certain municipalities to fulfill these criteria. It takes time, but the municipalities even take it to the ward level. In each ward, they start working on this, and then if and when they complete in all wards, they declare themselves as child labor free. It's not the end, of course, because this is a continuous effort. So we work with the ministry in the monitoring of those municipalities.
Because this is a huge issue, I believe, happening, and we have to be quite tricky while investigating, I believe, isn't it? Are you also collaborating with some organizations like NGOs and INGOs?
Yes, NGOs we work, of course, and this is mostly when we withdraw a child from work. These children need rehabilitation. And there are NGOs and institutions like Child Rights Council. We work with them to take these children. When we take these children need to be supported. But also their families need to be supported.
That's true.
And their parents need to be put in jobs so that they have an income and they don't need to, they shouldn't send their children to work. And of course, another dimension is education. So there must be free, accessible, and quality education so that children go to school rather than work.
And we can also see lots of children getting trafficked and getting involved in child labor.
Yes.
Have you come across those kind of incidents?
This is also an issue in our agenda, and we are looking into how this is happening. So we are now starting a research on this. We will be looking at these paths which are leading these kind of trafficking practices. And this is actually something which is beyond, in a way, our mandate. So we are working with other agencies on this to look at this this very unfortunate phenomenon. Yeah.
As Nepal navigates rapidly changing global labor environment, what's your message to the employers and workers for foster better social dialogue and adapt effectively to these challenges?
As you say, the world of work is changing so much and so rapidly. No one institution can deal with this alone. What we have discussed so far requires a lot of government action, but it will not be enough. The two big players in the economy are employers, the private sector, and the workers and their organizations. So we believe very much that these two should come together and work together and to have a dialogue. We believe in ILO in the power of dialogue. So we invite them to engage in social dialogue, because this is the best way to make economic and social policies. And at the end of the day, everybody's objective is the same, which is to have a prosperous Nepal and happy Nepali.
So you recently attended a conference in Bangkok, as you had shared with us earlier. So what do you think is the global challenges right now?
So in this conference, we actually discussed within the ILO and the countries that we are actively present, what can we do to make sure that the social justice is advanced in the Asia-Pacific region. And I am happy to say that ILO has initiated this global coalition for social justice. And I'm happy that Nepal has joined last year in this global coalition for social justice, because social justice is in the DNA of the state of Nepal. In your constitution, you have so many references to social justice, and there is a big awareness on this issue in Nepal. And I think Nepal government can really take a lead on this and really improve and do a lot of things to improve social justice in the country, and can be a good example to other countries in this region and globally.
So what potential do you see in Nepal?
The potential is that there are so many different groups in Nepal, and so many vulnerable people in the labor market requiring attention. So there can be policies put in place so that an inclusive economic growth is made possible with the inclusion of these people in the labor market, in other systems, in social protection, and everywhere that they need in education, in health, so that the country can have this development all together by not leaving anybody behind.
Finally, any message? Would you like to give any message to the viewers who are watching you right now as the country director of International Labour Organizations, ILO?
I think Nepal has a big potential with its young population, with its private sector, with its government, and beautiful scenery and culture, all these richnesses. And it only takes for all this to come together and to work on a big development project. That's possible only if everybody comes together and work together. And I truly believe that Nepal can achieve this.
It was wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much for your time, and we wish you all the best for impactful work here in Nepal. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you very much again. And as I said, it's great to have you in our ILO office.
Info Plus, for genuine information.
It has been an insightful conversation with Mr. Numan Özcan, the director of ILO Nepal. We have learned so much about the incredible effort the ILO is making to promote decent work, social justice, and the well-being of workers across Nepal. We appreciate your time and the valuable work you are doing. Thank you once again for being with us today, and thank you our viewers for tuning in Himalayan Television. Namaste.
Info Plus, for genuine information.